Guys, what's up and welcome to Skrrt Garage. My name is Connor and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about this 2015 Jaguar F Type R and a whole lot about autocross. And if you don't know what that is, imagine a road course within a parking lot. Today we're going to be talking about how this thing performs at autocross. We're going to talk about if you guys should bring your F Type to an autocross event or a track day event. And of course, we'll then talk about the nitty-gritty numbers and how it stacks up against all the other cars out there. All right, let's get started with this video. Alright guys, we are back, and we are actually back. Sorry I wasn't able to upload a video last week. My wife and I just had our first little baby girl and she's just so precious. I wasn't able to upload a video at that time. And for all of you who have been asking about the car and the tune issue that I was having, the issue is completely resolved and I'm making a video about that should be out within the next week. So definitely stay tuned for that. And if you guys are stopping by for the first time, don't forget to give this video a big old thumbs up, a nice positive comment down below, and of course subscribe for much more cool stuff coming along in the future. Okay, now like I promised, we're going to talk a little bit more about how this car performs, if you should bring your car out to a track or an autocross event, and of course I'm going to show you guys some real footage out there and the times that I'm able to achieve with the car. So first things first, how it performs. Well, in short, it performs extremely well. The whole reason I'm even making this video is because normally when I upload videos, I upload them on a Sunday or on a Monday. And a few months back, I raced a Porsche 996 Turbo. It was kind of wild. It had 300,000 miles and it was completely modified out its rear. And so I wanted to see how a 300,000 mile modified Porsche Turbo would do really against anything. And I had my F Type here, so we ran the cars. And when I posted that video, I thought people would comment more about how interesting that car was for having the mileage it had and how well it did. But the number one comment I got across social media when I posted it was, wow, I bet you anything that Porsche would decimate that F Type on a back road or on a track. And I didn't say anything back because I don't argue with you guys in the comments. I don't really care to do that. But what's interesting is these autocross events, they take place on Sundays as well. So that day, that very Sunday morning, I was actually at a Porsche Car Club of America autocross event. And guess what were there? 996 Porsche Turbos. And guess how many of them were faster than my car? 0. I'm not saying that to brag about the F Type or to toot my own horn. I'm just saying I really don't think people understand how fast this car is at a track or across an autocross event. Because again, if you're not familiar with autocross, it's cones within a parking lot. Generally speaking, it's going to favor a very small car. That's why you'll see a lot of Ford Fiestas out there, a lot of Mazda Miatas, Honda S2000s. Those are the main cars that attend those events. So something very large, wide, and long like this F Type, you generally never see out there in these types of autocross events. So the fact that it does so very well was shocking to everyone, myself included. So we're going to talk real quick about how it performs at the limit. Well, let me start by saying I have taken my Lotus Elise, my Mazda Miata, my BMW M3, and a lot of other cars I've owned out to autocross events, and they're all unique in the way that they deliver their power and how they handle at the limit, and this car is no exception. What I always gather when I drive this F Type is just how quick the steering is. It's a hydraulic rack. It was hydraulic in the 2015 F Type Rs, and I'm shocked by how quickly and how easily it darts into a corner. And what's really nice is everybody says how crazy the power is on oversteer, and yes, if you wanted to oversteer, it can, and it can do it very easily. but if you just dial back your inputs a little bit, if you don't go on off with the throttle, if you go somewhere in between where you can kind of gently massage the throttle coming out of a corner, this thing has incredible grip. Put it this way, in every single autocross event I've taken this car to, which by now it's only been 3 admittedly, but in all 3 events I've taken this car to, it has got within the top 3 cars there, and it's usually within 1 second of the fastest car. Now I know to you guys, you're thinking, oh well, these are only 45-second, 1 minute races, 1 second can kind of be a lot. Yes it can, but again, remind yourself that these autocross events, there's no banking to it. They're all on a flat surface, in a parking lot, and generally speaking, there's a few corners out there that are so tight that the F-Type can't go through them at an angle. I have to go straight through the cone or else the F-Type doesn't even fit. So for that reason, I have to slow down in a lot of other places that these cars don't. For example, on a very tight technical course, the people who usually win those are the Mazda Miatas. That's why there's so many of them, because they're so narrow that they can actually take some steering input into the corner and they can approach it at a lot higher of speed. This thing, it is so fast that you have to almost go no speed at all, like 5 miles an hour, and creep through the cones in order to not hit them, because if you hit a cone, you get a time penalty. So on those tight technical courses, it's usually the Mazda Miata that beats this, and it's, again, within 1 second. On the larger, higher speed autocross tracks that I've been to, the only car that has beat this, well, there's been 2. It's one, and they're both Porsche actually. One was a 2019 Carrera T, which has the same suspension and kind of the axles of the Porsche GT3, except the lower horsepower motor and all that goodness. And then the other one was a 2019 Porsche GTS, which both of those cars were driven by one of the autocross instructors, so he's extremely talented, and the car is extremely talented. It's kind of the Goldilocks of the 911 family, and so it handles its weight very well. It's a pure-on sports car, the 911. And so if I'm within 1 second of those cars, and considering this thing's more of a Grand Tour and not really a hardcore sports car, I'm more than happy with those results. Next question is, should you guys autocross your own F-Type? Well, this is kind of convoluted. I really do believe that you should, because I gained such an appreciation for the car when I took it out there, because I was blown away with how it handled itself at the limit and with the immediacy of the power coming out of corners and the sheer turn-in that this thing has. So yes, I think you should, because it will give you a tremendous respect for the suspension dynamics of your F-Type. But word of caution to you guys, I truthfully believe that when the designers designed this car, when the engineers designed this car, I think that they had this floor plan that basically said, okay, this is gonna be a 90% Grand Tour, which means it's just supposed to jump on the highway, pass whoever you want to, go for however long you want to. and we're also gonna make it 10% a true sports car. And I think that's kind of what it is. I think that you can live 10% of its life at a track or at an autocross event, or really just thrashing it on the road, and you'll be completely fine. But I do have to give you guys a slight word to the wise. If you exceed that 10%, you might run into some issues. And let me talk about that real quick. This car is from JLR, from Jaguar Land Rover. And there's a lot of parts bin special stuff that kind of goes into this car. You know, the engine, that's the same one that's in the Land Rovers. It's got a lot of the same componentry around it. Yes, the suspension is unique to the F Type, but a lot of the other ground up hardware that's within this car is shared amongst other ones. And so the fact that, you know, a lot of stuff that is shared between this sports car or Grand Tour car is also within a Range Rover truck gives you the sense that when they designed this car, they didn't intend for it to be just used and abused at the track all the time. And I think that that is true, because when I took my car to the first autocross event, I did that. And that is when I believe, personally, I had that issue with a clogged differential breather. And if you haven't seen that video, I had a little breather on top of the differential that clogged and ended up making one of the seals in my differential go bad. If you want to see it, you can check it out up here in the upper right-hand box. Go check that out if you'd like to. So I think that all stemmed from me pushing the car past what it was designed to do. It's kind of like taking your dress shoes out to play a game of soccer. It just doesn't really work, you know? And I think that that's what happened to me that first time. So if your car is under warranty, you know, you have your 5-year, 50,000 mile warranty, or 4-year, 50,000 mile, whatever it is, if it's under warranty and it's completely stock, I would highly recommend that you take it out, you try it out, you see what it can do, because ultimately if something breaks, they'll fix it for you. If it's out of warranty, this is when I would say maybe use a little bit of restraint, because if you really push the car, I do think that some of the componentry shared between this and other cars within JLR might shine through, and you might end up with a little bit of a repair bill. That's just my 2 cents. I'm not saying you have to follow it. I'm not obviously a JLR mechanic. I don't know everything about this car, but from what I can tell after owning multiple BMW M cars, that I feel like I could just thrash those all day long. Same, I had a Lotus Elise. I felt like I could thrash that all day long. I think I can push this car, but there's a soft limit that I respect. And I'm gonna talk a little bit more about that when I show you guys some of the times that I've had in the F Type today and on other occasions. So that's kind of my 2 cents on if you should take it out to a track or an autocross event. Okay guys, lastly, we're gonna break down some of the times that this car has been able to achieve. We'll start with the very first one when I went out there with all the other cars. You know, there was tons of Mazda Miatas, Porsche Turbos, there was a few other BMW M cars, Corvette Z06, a lot of cool cars. That very first time I went out, my first 4 runs, I wanted to just get a feel for the car, have some fun, and I noticed that my times were pretty competitive. I was about 2 or 3 seconds off the leader, and that was fine with me. You know, I didn't anticipate this car to do that well. So I went back out, you know, because I had 4 runs at the beginning and then 4 runs at the end. So I went out for my second set of 4 runs, and I could really feel the times dropping. On my 5th, 6th, and 7th run, I could really feel the times dropping. But on the 8th one, you know, I was like, okay, I don't know what my times are because I couldn't see them. But I was like, I'm just gonna have some fun. So my 8th run, instead of trying to actually drive the car hard, I just went out there and I slid it around. I was doing some stupid fishtails and power slides through the cones. It's a lot of fun, and this car is very easy to do that with. It'll make you look like a hero. But when I got back, I realized that I was within 1 second of the leader, which was, in fact, a 2019 Porsche GTS driven by the Autocross instructor. And I really do think that if I would have pushed it on that last one, I might have been able to break into the same, at least within a half second of that car. So I don't really care about times that much. I mean, I'm not like a die-hard autocross guy. I just think it's fun to feel these cars on the limit, and that's what happened on that occasion. let's talk about today. Today, because I've obviously just warned you guys that I don't think that these cars are meant to be thrashed, today we had 10 runs, 5 to start with and then 5 at the end. What I ended up doing today is only running it 5 times. And these autocross events, if you ever watch the times, they progressively get better and better and better and better and better because you're learning as you're driving. Ooh, I can take a 10th off my time there. Ooh, I can brake a little bit later there. Ooh, I might be able to hold a little bit more min speed around that big carousel. And so you find out a lot about what you're capable of doing within your car as you run them. But I only had 5 runs, so I really wasn't expecting to do that great. But even so, today I was still within 1 second of the leaderboard who ran all 10 of his laps. So extremely impressive. Again, this car is so much more impressive than you would imagine if you just looked at it and assumed it was a Grand Tourer. So there you guys go. If you do decide to take this car to the track or to Autocross, on Autocross, when you get started in the car, there's 2 levels of traction control. I highly recommend that you run the car with the first level of traction control off. And all you have to do is hit the traction control button 1 time. Do not hold it, because if you hold it, it'll turn everything off, the stability management and the traction control, and then you are on your own. And if you have the rear-wheel drive F Type, you really better hang on to something, because I'm sure, as you've seen in this video, it flies. Alright guys, that is going to do it for us here at Skrrt Garage. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please don't forget to give it a big old thumbs up and a comment. And of course, if you're stopping by for the first time, hit subscribe. We'd love to see you coming around the channel more. Have a great day and we will see you next time. Peace.